This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages right here on Gaming Division. It's time for This Play Spot. Salutations, I am Kamurai, and I am conversation with ready. With me I've got Thank Frank.
Howdy, everybody.
Okay, I was like, you can talk now. Please. Please talk.
Gotta wait the short pause. It's worse to interrupt, I think.
The pregnant pause, yeah. But it's like you just have this potential ability to make me act like look like I pretend I have friends. It's like he's real, I swear.
I'll make sure. I'll just wait for when you least expect it, and then I just won't say a word.
Be like, I went to go get a taco. Sorry. Oh, but that's okay, because all things heal with time and tacos and games. Games heal. Heal with salt?
Nice.
Maybe?
I'm pretty sure they just add salt to the wound, but...
Okay, maybe. Okay, sometimes games heal. So, the most coveted part of any Play Spot podcast is, of course, what you've been playing. What's up, Frank? It's been a couple weeks since we did this, so...
Well, I finally finished Neo and started something else.
Ooh.
So,
what was the?
I'm.
What was the amazing conclusion to Neo?
Well, by finished, I mean I platinumed it, so I just did the most tedious trophy or achievement.
Jesus.
Which is going around the world and using every hot spring once.
That's all you have to do to platinum it?
Well, it was just the thing I put off till the end. You gotta find every little tree spirit, you gotta beat the game however many times. It's not too bad considering what they could make you do.
Wait, so how many
one of those games where it's like, what?
Go ahead.
It's one of those games where, like, especially because I also did the platinums for the Dark Souls games, and good God.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't know.
So how many times did you play Neo then? Like how many run-throughs to platinum it?
I would say I did it in about 2.5. I didn't do all of the content that was there. I just did all of the content in the base game. So like they added entire like 2 or 3 NGs with DLC, but you don't need to do all of that.
That sounds a little crazy to me that like that you platinumed it halfway through a run-through.
It depends on the kind of game, you know. It's just what there are achievements for, and you just get the platinum when you get all the ones that exist. I don't know what kind of person I was when I was younger and able to do the Dark Souls 1 platinum, because there's just some ridiculous shit there. Like, I actually don't remember the person that I supposedly was that did this, because I don't know how I would do it now.
Yeah, I don't have the will in me to play through that game over and over. Like, I found, like, it takes a very special game for me to do a roguelike. Have you seen Lost Castle?
I do not believe so.
Okay, so you know what Castle Crashers is?
Yeah.
So Castle Crashers is a roguelike version. I'm sorry. Lost Castle is a roguelike version of Castle Crashers, essentially, where you start with a random weapon each time.
Okay.
That's essentially what it is. Just play Castle Crashers. Not worth your time. I did not have a good time with it. I did do some capture for it. I did a one-shot, but I don't even know if I can recommend going to watch it. It's just kind of like me going, this is a game. Beat, beat, beat. Oh, I'm dead. I get to spend some points. Shop, shop, shop. Okay, I guess this is a game again. And you just... I don't know, I had a lot more fun with roguelite. Like, are you familiar?
Yeah, less strict on the rogue.
No. There's actually a game called roguelite.
Okay, because that's also a genre for a while.
I know it's
okay.
very confusing. So that's why I was asking if you were familiar with the game. I just didn't. It's a game.
Clearly not, I guess.
Yeah. So you're basically a girl who wears a potato sack and you've got a bow and arrow and you run around in the darkness, and every time you go to shoot an arrow, like, it lights up. So like that's your light source.
I feel like the potato sack thing sounds surprisingly familiar.
It's just a really minimal aesthetic, so like I call her potato sack girl. because it amuses
Okay.
me, not necessarily because it's accurate.
Fair enough.
And then FTL, of course, is an amazing rogue game, but it's not like I can beat it on normal. So
Yeah, I always marathon it. I went and found me some simple mods after I played it for a while to disable the fleet chasing you.
oh
So I
really?
play it as more of a galaxy trotting odyssey, and so I tend to visit like every node in each area, which if that works out, you can
Really
max out everything you want to by the end of the game.
Well, yeah, because
It also means you're going to get fucked by every random encounter along the way. So
well, yeah, the whole point of
you
it is
get
to have
100%
enough
of the good and 100% of the bad.
randomly like throughout there to be able to take on the boss at the end. So if you have everything,
I've still lost. You can still lose. That boss fight is bullshit.
it is really rough. I really am looking forward to an FTL 2. Which was why I think like Into the Breach was so disappointing. Like, not that I played Into the Breach, let me say that, but everything I heard about it from like its genre to like people's reaction was disappointing.
I know I have to still give it a look just because I liked FTL so much.
Well, you're not out in space like doing anything like that. You're on a planet and you're like taking over territory by territory or something. And then you can rewind time back to like a certain point with a guy who has the future knowledge, but like you only get one guy out of your whole army, something like that.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I like time rewind mechanics. On a completely unrelated note, I thought that was a good thing that they added to the most recent Fire Emblem game.
Ooh,
It was
really?
a remake of the second one, and they added this device that you could upgrade its uses however many times, but it would just let you go back. You could rewind any number of turns or actions, undo mistakes you made or death, or avoid units suddenly spawned in a very terrible place, which I think was a good way to acknowledge that people would just save scum and restart the game if they didn't get their way anyway.
Which is what happens in XCOM 2 on occasion. And I blame XCOM 2 half the time at least. Because like I hurt my back recently, so like I was laid down. I could only get myself to play a couple games. Say this for the record, because I think I told you before. Like I would lay down and then I would put my Surface on my chest, and then I would remote from my Surface to my gaming computer, so I could play XCOM without sitting up. So I could see the monitor and just look at that and like use the tablet as an extension, but it was really pathetic, if I'm being honest. I played a lot of XCOM 2 though. It was good.
There's a lot of it to play.
Yeah, I'm still
I
not
feel like
done.
it's in the unfortunate zone of just probability factors in so obviously, which if you grew up with like tabletop games, and really any games, if you think about it really hard, probability is everywhere, but like it's much more explicit, and there's just something that will always just seem bullshit to most people about getting crit on a 1% chance or missing a 99% chance.
And this came up in like a podcast or something recently too. Like people do obviously get upset by RNG. Whenever you're rolling dice in XCOM 2, you roll dice, even if it's not explicit. And so like that 80% is not guaranteed. It's not even really likely. It's just you have an 80% chance this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't get the math of that. It
means 1 in 5 times you're gonna miss. So.
Well, that's the thing is though, if you do it 5 times in a row, it's not necessarily like you're guaranteed one of those 5. It's every time you have a 1 in 5 chance to miss. And that's
over the course of the game, it should average out. Same thing with the weather. You're not going to have an exact spread, but if you play the game 100 times, on average, you're gonna make roughly 80% of those shots.
Yeah, 80% of your 80% shots.
Yeah. Yes.
Just
with a small enough sample size, you'll get fucked, or not get fucked.
Yeah, and that's the weirdness of it, is that it's random. You don't know. But that can feel punishing to some people, which is weird. That reminded me though. Are you familiar with Blood Bowl?
I've heard of it.
We really got to get you guys like involved, but like I don't know if I want to invest in Blood Bowl 2. I'd rather get people on board with Astroneer, if I'm being honest, because that would be so much fun to like fuck around in that with you guys. Blood Bowl is basically American football but with monsters. Are you sold?
Oh, you know how much of a fan I am of football.
I don't, honestly. I imagine not. But you grew up in Minnesota.
I've heard of sports. I've heard of sports. I played hockey once. That's about the extent of it.
But see, this isn't you playing sports. This is you watching a bunch of orcs tear some humans in half and then walk the ball into the try zone.
Sounds a lot like Super Mario Strikers.
It's kind of like that, but good. Honestly, because you're good enough at games that you appreciate strategy games. You appreciate XCOM.
Yeah, I do. I would say that Super Mario Strikers was probably the greatest worst experience I've had, but
it was pretty bad. I'm actually, you know what? I apologize. I'm remembering Mega Man Soccer. That's what I'm remembering.
I only played the sequel on the Wii. That was one of those experiences that I was like, man, everything in this game is complete bullshit. But I suppose in a weird way that kind of evens out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is if everything's bullshit, then it works. But
it just had that Nintendo hard problem of like easy is easy, medium is a challenge, and hard wants to fuck everyone in your family and all of your dreams because you played this game.
Jesus Christ. But with that in mind, I'm going to finish my Blood Bowl anecdote because it's Blood Bowl and I actually like the game enough to finish this. So it's on a grid like XCOM. So imagine like a tactics game, but like it's football. So the objective is not necessarily to kill the other team, but to get the ball in the try zone. Hopefully that sells you a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm. It's probably got the same thing that a lot of multiplayer games have, but there is a there's a clear objective, but it's very easy to fall into the trap of I'm just gonna kill people.
Well, no, and to be fair, there's two strategies that Blood Bowl players take, and it's designed to be played in a league, like over time. So your characters actually gain player points and can actually get extra abilities. But they either play the ball, which is like what elves and such are good at, or you play to kill, and you essentially, it may not be official points, but you count kills as points for yourself, and then you walk the ball in over their dead bodies.
Okay. Sounds like some changes that would convince me to watch the Super Bowl more often.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what to me what is part of what makes the game entertaining. Like Goblin and Halfling teams, the guys are so cheap that like you take all these bonuses and then minimize your guys, and then you just buy new guys as they die every game. It's like, oh
damn! There's no respawning. That's an expensive franchise.
Exactly. So and like I think it's only what 30,000 a year to hire halflings or goblins. So they're cheap. You start with like $1 million budget, essentially.
That's almost more than I make. Those are expensive halflings.
But they are getting paid to get beat up on the field.
Who's to say I'm not?
I don't want to talk about your date night, Frank.
I wasn't getting paid for that.
Oh, no. I didn't mean to call you a whore this time.
No, I was the one paying for it. Thank you very much. More ways than one.
Beat out my punchline. I was going to say that like I saved that for special occasions, but yours was funnier. So okay, board games and such, like again, like a lot of XCOM 2 for me. I did play Kingdoms, and it's the new one. Let me minimize this and see what it's called. Kingdom New Lands. Have you heard of such a game?
I have not.
So Kingdoms is like a 2D style game, but it's not really a platformer. It's essentially a management game.
Okay.
You ride a horse to the left and right, and then you have to set up defenses, or you have to hire beggars and stuff to your kingdom to build up your fort to defend against demons that come through this portal. And in new lands, you're actually like going from place to place. So you have to build yourself up to a certain point so that you're wealthy enough to repair the boat and then go to the next area.
Okay, so yeah, okay, I've heard of the base game, yeah.
Yeah, and so like
it's an interesting extension of it.
Yeah, the base game is just like do that once essentially. So yeah, it was an interesting way to expand it, and I honestly, it was the other game that like I played from my bed because I could use a controller, and it didn't take a lot of intensity. Because I tried playing something else, and like I was like, I'm using my back too much to play this video game, and it's impressive from a laying down position, honestly. God, I'm out of shape.
Same.
Let's see here. I'm pretending like I have notes. I don't know why. Board games. Let's talk about board games for a minute. Like, let's what have we been playing or buying? Let's see. So we've done 2 weeks. We did the week with Blood Rage, and then the week with God, what did we play? We played 5 Tribes this past weekend. What did we play before Blood Rage?
Was that the day we played Betrayal?
I think we did Betrayal, Penny Arcade, Gamers vs. Evil, and Blood Rage.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I actually feel bad about Penny Arcade because, like, the guys just didn't have a good time, and I respect that. That's fine.
I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. I think there's I think there's it's sort of the trap of deck builders that the more of them you play, it feels like another deck builder should be intuitive to you. And if you don't have that experience the first time you play, every instinct you have says, well, this is bullshit. Right?
Well, you gotta stop and remember it's a new game.
Yeah, exactly. And like I sucked as hard as possible in the first game, and I won the second one apparently. So I'll admit I had much more fun the second time. I don't know if my opinion would have changed or if my opinion would have changed more or less, or if at all, if I had lost the second one as well.
Did find out I made one mistake. It is 4 stacks depleted in the game, but I don't think it would have changed much that first game.
Yeah, I think it's good that was a short one. We got used to it.
Yeah, you got the mechanics down, and then you got to play a live one.
Yeah, I do think for a lot of deck builders, 6 people is too many.
It can be.
I think 4 or 5 people is the sweet spot for a lot of games.
I think most games are designed for up to 4. It's either they're designed for one-on-one, they're designed for one-on-one or with a friend, or they're designed for 4 people. I don't think a lot of games are 2 to 4.
You don't think a lot of games are 2 to 4?
I don't think so. I don't think they're designed with that in mind. It's like I think they know what it is. Like 5 Tribes is a good exception because they actually have 2-player rules versus more players.
I think I would say in my experience, and this could just be because I'm so used to video games.
No, do it.
The multiplayer tends to be, if it has more than 1 player at all, it's either co-op at 2 or it's 2 to 4. Well, there were some weird outliers that went up to 5, but
for video games,
or it was online. Yeah, for video games. Like I'm thinking like way back, like local co-op.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking like when you say that, I'm thinking back on the NES where you had to buy the multi-tap, and they had 5 slots, so they used it.
Well, so I'm thinking like the PlayStation 1. I actually only know of 1 game on the PS1 that actually utilized the 5th slot. That was a game called Shipwreckers. It was pirates. But otherwise everything was either 2, 1 versus 1 or co-op, or 2 to 4. Like usually nothing stops at 3, and 5 is always too many.
Well,
so there's sort of relics of that left over now.
Here's the difference when you're doing video games versus board games most of the time is that video games are usually pretty active. So it's if one person's doing stuff, you just go, well, how many more people can do this at the same time before they murder each other? 4? Okay. Board
Yeah.
games, everybody's got to wait on each other and be nice and polite, and they don't like to do that.
Yeah, I would say I see a lot of games go like 2 to 6 would be the range I've seen.
For board
Uh,
games,
yeah, is I would think the most common range. Some games don't go below, uh, can't go down to 2.
yeah.
Um, like I would say, I think Evolution. I think there are 2-player rules, but I don't. God, it's not an interesting game with 2 people. You need at least 3.
But that's the weird thing. Like that's like Seven Wonders and Among the Stars and Five Tribes are all like that. Where it's like when you go down to 2 players, they go, "Wait a minute, this isn't really meant for 2 players, but here's some additional options for you to try." So like the Among the Stars and Seven Wonders, the way you do that is you just play a 4-player game, but you burn a card every time. So you pick one. You pick one for you, one to get rid of, like out of the game, and then you pass the hand to the other person.
Okay, that's interesting.
It definitely changes how the game works a little bit because you can see a card and go, oh, I'll save that for next time. Your friend got rid of it.
Yeah.
So there's that.
That's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it definitely adds a new spin on it. It's refreshing. Like I want to talk about Betrayal, and I don't want to bitch about it, like because I like it as a concept. There's something about with how random the haunts are that like it doesn't grab me like it used to. Does that make sense?
I don't. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It was one of those games that I really wanted for a long time before I got into board games, right? Way back when like spending more than 10 or 20 bucks on a board game was ridiculous to me because I just didn't do board games.
Nowadays it's like, well, I can get a board game for $20.
I'll take 6.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I ordered one of the limited edition resin models that that Soda Pop Miniatures put out. They put one out for April. I think they're going to do one every month now. And that was like $25 right there, plus shipping. So I'm bad.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, my concept of what is too much money is all out of whack because I'll spend $40 on orbs every once in a while. So.
On orbs?
The currency in Fire Emblem Heroes.
Oh, I thought you meant like a Zorb.
No, orbs. Sorry, orbs. Like
I was
spheres.
like, I know I didn't hear
Magical
orbs.
The worst part about that is it's gambling, so you can spend $40 and get nothing.
Loot boxes, Frank. Get away from them.
It's not a loot box so much as it's a gacha. GACHA.
But they're like booster packs, right? You spend X amount for some stuff to do some things with, right?
Yeah, it's you summon, and every week or every so often they add what's called a banner, where there are featured units, and there are different rarities of units. I think this is common to a lot of gacha games. In Heroes, they decided to do away with the 1 and 2 stars altogether, and there's only 3, 4, and 5-star units, for whatever reason. And on a banner, you have it's something like a 6, and then it's like a 54% chance to get a 4-star, and then a 3% chance to get a 5-star, a 3% chance to get one of the focused units, so that there's just a handful at the 5-star level, and then the rest are 3 stars.
Frank, I've played a couple of these games. I have a theory about that ranking system, and I'd like your feedback on my theory. So
Sure.
there's a thing I'm sure you're familiar called power creep.
Yes.
So as like these games get higher and higher, like your abilities get higher and higher, so that bottom tier stuff really just becomes garbage, and it just collects. Nobody wants it. Nobody uses it. It doesn't become effective to transmutate into new stuff. So I'm willing to bet that the designers got rid of the bottom 2, so that the new bottom was 3, and then they'll add like 6 and 7 later on in the year, or eventually.
It's possible that they'll add later rarities. Because of how the game works, You do need to get 11 of the same unit at the 5-star level to hit maximum effectiveness. You can do what's called reinforcement,
Mm-hmm.
which is you mash units together of the same rarity. And you can scale up rarity. Any unit that you can get, you can spend a separate in-game currency that you can earn through, quests, playing the story, or competing online in the arena, and bump them up from 3 to 4 stars or 4 to 5 stars. There are some units that are only available at the 5-star level, so you have to get lucky and roll them or wait for a banner where they're in focus. They have a pity system where if every time you take 5 pulls, as they're called, without getting a 5-star unit consecutively, your chances go up by it's 0.5% between the focus and non-focuses. At this point, I'm just spewing garbage. They do have a pretty good system, I think. Like a lot of gotchas, like the chance of getting like a top rarity unit is like 1% or less, and some games don't do pity percentages. But and they also tell you, so you hit summon on the banner, and then they show you 5 spheres, basically, and they're color coded for the kind of unit.
Yep.
So they have a rock paper scissors system. Red beats green, green beats blue, blue beats red. And you know what the focus units are. So if you know you're rolling for a focus unit, you just have to pull those colors.
Okay.
And there's a 4th color called colorless. It's gray. They exist outside the rock paper scissors.
And it's just number versus number at that point.
Yeah, to some extent,
Okay.
units come with their own special skills. Like some of the 5-star exclusive characters have things that only they have and only they can use. They've actually gone to a lot of lengths to with they call it the skill inheritance system, where other than like exclusive skills that are unique to a character because of story reasons, the game they came from, you can pass stuff on. So people can make their waifu or whatever character they like a lot, no matter how trash they are, really fucking good. They still they couldn't compete with somebody who was like, oh, I happen to jerk off to the most top tier character, But even then, because of like the weapon triangle, a bad red unit can still beat the best green unit in the game.
That reminds me so much of something like
built properly.
There was some game, and I can't remember what it is. It's not gonna happen, but it's like it was an RPG, like where it's like you had a stable of characters, and then like you could take whoever you wanted and train them up like in the background, like while you were doing missions, and work them like to be able to get to fighting strength, even if they started out sucky. And then some of those would actually be hidden like gods. Like you would I'm just gonna make up a name, Anna. Like train while you're off doing missions, and then when you come back, Anna would have +2 in strength or whatever, and you do that enough times, and then she just hits this magic spot where she's leveled up and she's got abilities X, Y, and Z with these stats, and then she's just phenomenal character.
Yeah, there's the mainline Fire Emblem games actually there's an archetype for that.
Okay.
I can't remember. All their archetypes are named after like the original character that started the archetype. But it's usually like a villager or somebody who starts in like it's like a uniquely shitty class. But in mainline Fire Emblem games, stat growth is determined by RNG.
Interesting.
And yeah, so every time you level up, each of their stats has a percentage to increase based on who they are and what their class is.
Okay.
That affects that. So if somebody has a really bad growth in something that you want, you can put them in a class temporarily that will improve that growth and then move them back to another class.
Reminds me of Donkey Kong Kingdom. Sorry, continue.
Yes. Actually, yes. Fuck that game. I like that game, but
Donkey
also fuck that game.
I can't wait
one of those.
to finally break out the consoles and actually do a run of that again. It's going to be fantastic.
We'll have to do that sometime.
I'd be totally up for that. Like, I'd want to do it on stream, but we can make it happen.
For sure.
We find 2 other people that are really dedicated. I'd be all for that, honestly.
Yeah, no, I would too. I'd give it a go. Finding 2 other people that are willing is difficult. It's a commitment.
It is, and like You just gotta like find the time at some point.
Yeah.
I can see like Zach like going in as long as he can be drunk, like maybe, like so like maybe like
Yeah.
Saturday night Dokapon or something. But
Yeah.
it's like about an hour in, Zach's just gone. It's like I'm gonna fuck you.
I have always wanted to go for the move, trying the, you know, the less serious, less hardcore kind of party games, which is it's something I have to say very carefully because I hate a lot of games that I consider to be basic bitch games, but
That game's
like,
so basic. What's a good example
yeah,
of that for you?
I mean Monopoly.
See, and Mario Party is the first thing that came to mind when you said that for me.
Oh yeah, I have a weird relationship with Mario Party. Every time they made me play Mario Party while we were
It
at the
sucked.
academy, I won. I won every game,
Okay.
and I'm very goal oriented, so I can't really complain if I'm winning.
I can't.
That's not true. Thunderstone proved that I can complain while I'm winning, but like it takes the edge off for
But
me.
that was a whole thing. Like I wasn't in the mood to run the game like in the first place. It's I don't remember if it was like this like the first time I did, but it's now made the top 3 worst rule books ever for me. Being Super Dungeon Explorer, the original rule book was horrible. Thunderstone and Archipelago, I think, is probably worse than Game of Thrones. Because Game of Thrones is actually good.
Well, for me, the whole experience was made that much more disappointing by the fact that we started with "We're Getting Out Star Realms," right? Which is it's a game I really enjoy, right? We started with that, and then it was, oh well, it happened to be in the Thunderstone box because I don't have a box for it.
Well, and then
that became, oh well, let's just try Thunderstone.
and they were bitching about space, and Zach, I don't think wanted to play Star Realms, but he was going to anyways because he was being a good guy.
I thought Zach liked Star Realms. I think Zach
He
said that's his
doesn't
favorite deck
like
builder. Bosch didn't
losing
wanna
to
play it.
you.
Ah.
I think because I think that was the idea. Is like I'm just gonna get my ass beat. I'd rather play Ascension because he knows that game a little bit better, and I think he likes the distribution in that a little bit more. He's definitely a big Ascension fan. Everybody
I
has
have to
their
get
favorite deck
Ascension at some
builder.
point. Yeah, I have to get Ascension at some point. It's, I don't know. I think the problem is because Dominion is the example to pull from. That anything with like a medieval or fantasy theme,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's got like that. It's got a redundancy to it for me if I haven't played the game before.
Well, it's got a planeswalker theme. It's not necessarily like medieval. It's more of like mystical. Or Ascension.
Right,
anyways.
but that's I still like lump all of those things together.
Oh wow.
You know,
Okay.
in my head.
Shame on
some
you,
extent.
Frank. You do what you do, but to me, it's like, oh, you could be having so much variety here, but you're like, oh, it's still swords and magic shit. Fuck them.
I mean, that is kind of how I feel. Like most, ARPGs look the fucking same to me.
ARPGs?
You know, like most American.
Oh, is that
Sword-
what that
sword-
means? I was trying to figure out what the fuck ARPG
I
was
think it's
earlier today.
That could be wrong.
No, it makes sense, but usually I see WRPG, Western RPG.
Yeah. Well, so I heard, like, for example, Grim Dawn is a game I started playing the past couple weeks with.
Oh, we're gonna
some
get
friends
there.
from high school.
I saw you had that on your activity.
Go
Go ahead.
But so I've just been playing, like I said, it was just a way to hang out with some friends. It was cheap on Steam the other day, so we bought it. You know, and it's fine. You know, I've never played anything like it. You know, it's Diablo-esque.
Okay.
Which I never had any interest in Diablo. Like, it's fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I dislike the top-down. Like, I think we've had this conversation before. I
Isometric,
just
yeah.
grew up. Isometric. And the clicking to move. Like, I can deal with isometric if I moving with an analog stick or WASD in, you know,
I'm with you.
2D space.
I
but the fucking
hate clicking to move. But like I took a look at my desktop. I think I've got 4 games on there that are isometric. I just wanted to see. I've got like Torchlight. I got the Torchlights on there, and then I've got Path of Exile, which is like a Diablo clone, essentially. And then Divinity: Original Sin, and I can't remember if that's click to move. What do you think?
I also can't remember.
It did not bother me if it was, though, because it made sense. I know you can click to move. I don't know if it was forced click to move. There was a game called Lineage 2, like it was a massive multiplayer online. I really pissed my girlfriend off. Because I was like, I don't know, I don't really like, let me try it with you. I want to spend some time with you. Let's play a video game. So she's like, oh, we can do this. And we set up characters and everything. And then I played it. We played for like an hour or something. And I was just like, the whole time it was just like, fuck, I hate this. I love you. I hate this. And then like at the end, like I unequipped my characters and released them. Like, because I was never playing that shit again. And she's like, you didn't have to do that. I was like, oh, I fucked up.
Damn.
But it's like one of those things where like I just should have like just turned it off. I shouldn't have gone the extra steps. But I don't know. Everybody's got their things. So we covered Thunderstone. We haven't talked about Five Tribes in a minute. What else did we have? We had Five Tribes, Thunderstone. Did we have another game? Oh, Betrayal. Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit, but I don't know.
And
I think it's.
Forge, I think.
But I'll say my little piece about Betrayal. It's a good game to talk about because it's such a wild range of experiences. It's just awkward to go in because you don't know what you're dealing with sometimes, and that can be good and bad.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Five Tribes, or I'd rather talk about Five Tribes first, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. If we got no more to say about Betrayal.
Yeah, I think we talked about it earlier. I just wanted to throw that pepper on it. Bam.
I feel I think it does what it tries to do really well.
It does. I'll give you that.
It's just that what it tries to do isn't fun for everyone.
I don't even agree with that statement. I think that it is generally fun, but I think the problem is that it's just that I'm an asshole and I like knowing what I'm getting into, and having the haunt be so randomized over all these different events that I don't know what I'm dealing with, so it makes it hard to play how I want to play.
I would say that the experience that we observed Zach have with it, where he was like, this game is super cool and really fun and I really like it, during the first part.
Yeah.
Is consistent, right? Like, that's what hooked me. Like, so I was hooked on Betrayal before I even played it, because, tangent here, way back in 10th grade, we had a class project for my stupid fucking geography class. And we were supposed to, like, make a geography-themed game. And yeah, it was a learning exercise. It was a way to exercise creativity, and I always liked that kind of stuff. I remember getting really salty because my friends wanted to do something really dumb. Like, they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll make a geography-themed D&D," and I was like, "There's no way that that's going to work."
Yeah, it's a little complicated.
High school. Yeah, we ended up making some stupid, like, single board that, like, you rolled checks on, like, 3 times. Like, it was bad. It was pretty bad.
See, I could see, like, taking, like, Europe or something and do, like a Risk or something like that, but...
Yeah. It was the AP Human Geography almost has nothing to do with actual geography. It's a lot of just, like, terminology about, like... models for towns, and like people tend to live near water because they'll fucking die without water, and we needed to make up some words for that,
like evolutionary geography, essentially. Like, so it's almost an anthropology class at that point.
Yeah, to some extent.
Well, that
But
actually sounds
without like
cool.
any of the like scientific rigor. It was mostly common sense with uh arbitrary terminology, right? It was just like, oh, people tend to do this. We made up a word for it that you have to memorize. Oh, okay.
See,
I don't know.
I almost wish for that, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Part of me really enjoys it. I bet it would have sucked no matter what. Even if it's the fantasy is good.
Yeah, no, I definitely like. There are parts of it that could have been interesting, but it was presented, I think, poorly. Um, but anyway, the whole point of the story is
Oh yeah.
one of the groups did the smart thing, which is they took a real game and like just ripped it off and made a geography theme based on that. So it was
Okay.
Betrayal at House on the Hill, except you played as like one of four animals. Like there's an elephant, a snail, and some other shit. Um, and like the cards were like geography questions, and it was like if you could get them right, you got rewarded.
See,
Um,
that's so
so at
smart.
some point, I became like a rampaging elephant, and we had an invisible flying snail, magic snail. Like he had like a broom that he was flying around on. Um, and they had like the tiles, the exploration aspect.
Okay.
And one of the guys in my group who was already into tabletop games of all varieties was like, "Oh yeah, this is based on an actual game," and like this might actually be what like spurred me to get into board games.
I can see that.
That probably planted the seed. Um, but
Planted.
it's that
Okay.
like the exploration and like the fun of finding stuff. But it's really easy to just have the shitty experience of, oh, I failed one check, my stat goes down. Now I'm gonna fail every subsequent check. Like it's just you get this death spiral problem, which like it makes sense, but it's not fun. Like it's just shitty to be that person. Especially because with player elimination, you have the problem that if someone dies, thank God they can't die before the haunt, but like they're
Yeah.
just out, and now they have to wait just for everybody else to finish playing.
Or they're trapped in a labyrinth.
Yeah,
I blame you, Frank.
that's right. That's right. That's right. That wasn't even intentional. Like
Let,
I was just doing other stuff,
let the
and
record
like it happened to
show
work out that way.
that Frank abandoned me in the basement in the labyrinth to wait out my days.
Because you basically it was you had to roll what was like
A
a one in
six. Like I had to roll a
six.
six to get across, and it's like, no, this isn't happening.
You had a 1 in 27 chance of rolling that every turn. Same chance that Bosch had of getting fucked by the dice, and he did. Just like I said, always happens every game I've played it with. People just roll until it fucks them. I think they'd be a much better card if they actually just said, if you roll this number, you just die. Because I think people would treat it more carefully. Like it gives you this illusion that like the situation it puts you in is salvageable, and it's not. Like there's a reason I just fucking killed him immediately after starting the haunt. Like
Yeah,
all right, that guy's free.
it's what's that smell? Oh, it's a dead guy.
Yeah.
But let's. Oh, go ahead. Good.
Well, but I feel like once you actually get to the haunt, I've never really had an experience where it was really back and forth. It maybe seems like it. Like
It's
I don't know what you guys were rolling for when I was the guy who was asleep, or like how close you got to succeeding. But like I feel like I just fucking like I just trounced you guys by virtue of the haunt. And there's always the question of like, did I read the rules right? Because that's all unique.
that's true.
Right, every time you play, you have to read the rules, or you have a haunt that everybody already knows, and part of the fun is supposed to be that like you don't have all the information, so it's lose lose.
Yeah, and
In that regard.
every hunt I've seen is stacked one way or the other, and it's just a matter of how much you can slow it down before the end happens. So it's no
Yeah.
big deal, really. Um,
I just feel like at that point again, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same complaint I have about a lot of games where like you hit a point where you know who's gonna win, you know you can't do anything about it, but you still have to play the rest of the game. Um, and oftentimes, depending on the game, it can still be fun to play it out.
yeah,
But a lot of times, the lead kind of has to do with how much you can do. And I guess a friend of mine has, whose opinion I respect, has some postulates about the fun that you have playing a game being proportional to like what you get to do. relative to when you're not doing anything.
We talked about this. Yeah, it's the level of engagement. It's proportional to how much fun you have. Yeah, because that's the problem with board games is that like when it's turn based and people aren't efficient about it, it fucks over everyone else's time because it adds to the amount of time that they're not doing, and they can recognize that they could be doing something else than just sitting there. And people get in their own head, especially with today's attention span and whatnot.
Yeah, well, and then you have the issue where people find something to do, like they get out their laptop, right, and then they're not paying attention, and then they're like, oh, well, what happened?
Yeah.
Right.
And then we got to catch them up on top of everything, yeah.
Or I had this, where some people just didn't like that I would, get out my phone and absentmindedly play Fire Emblem, right, while I was waiting for my turn.
And depending upon the game...
In college.
Yeah, okay.
I had this problem. But and it's like, well, waiting for 5 people to take forever to take their turns. Like, part of me is like, there's part of me that's like, okay, I understand, like, you want people engaged, like, because I know I've had the experience where somebody just wasn't paying attention, when it wasn't their turn, and it kind of ruined the game. But at the same time, it's not that I'm not paying attention; it's that there's literally nothing for me to do. Like, I'm still aware of when it's my turn. I take my turn. But everybody else just takes fucking forever. Like, if you don't want me to get on my phone, take your fucking turn.
Yeah, and
like, it like bothers me to no end when I'm playing a game that I think it's very reasonable to already know what you're gonna do before your turn starts.
And I agree with you entirely. Now, there are some games that where like you can't really do that. Now, things like Small World and I don't know, like Betrayal and whatnot. Like, you pretty much know kind of what's gonna go on. You got to wait for things to happen, maybe. But like Five Tribes is something where it's like everyone kind of has to stay engaged. They kind of have to keep watching the board as as things are going on. Because the board changes with every turn, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably my biggest problem with it, is I just get so focused on trying to plan out a turn. I don't really pay attention to what I'm setting up for people. So I'm just trying to play the game. Like, I'm trying to work towards something, but like everybody else actually puts some effort into not setting me up, and I don't put any effort into not setting people up.
And I like that you finally broke and stopped doing that. Not because I got to benefit from it, because just because you set something up doesn't mean that's what I want to do. You guys actually set up as much cock blocking as there was going on in that last game. You guys kept setting up things I didn't want, and then I was like, no, but I need to go over here. So it's like, well, I'll just do this. I'll do my thing. But if you do that and you just play efficiently, then you can get more games in, and then you can get more used to adapting to the board. I think that's the problem that we have, is that everyone gets up in their head about doing it perfectly.
Somebody mentioned at one point that there was a possibility of trying to fuck me out of the yellow lead, and that kind of ruined the rest of the game for me, because then like, in terms of like my performance, not that I like stopped having fun because people were gonna try to play the game correctly, but that I then spent the rest of the game like, okay, how can I avoid getting fucked over now? All right, I gotta take all the yellow guys off the board so no one can beat me. Now I gotta make sure I don't set up any red guys so nobody kills my yellow guys. Or, oh, now I gotta kill Zach's yellow guys because I got this fucking Sultan quest for it. And if I put him so far behind me that it's not worth trying, he won't bother. And I didn't want to call attention to the fact that I had a Jin that tripled the score I got from individual yellow dudes.
I caught that at one point and then I forgot about it. But like, he was just, I just liked it because it showed that he was paying attention to the game. He was invested in knowing how it worked. So I liked it.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate Zach's attitude overall in terms of just the, like, I don't care what we do. I'm just here to hang out. Like, I think it's good for the group that he has that attitude of like he's not like dismissive of anything, but he's like not bothered by the things that bother you and I. But that's a totally different discussion.
Yeah, and that's I don't want to get into that right now. We totally could, but let's not. More out of respect for your time tonight, because I know we gotta wrap this up soon. So like I do enjoy that attitude, but it's at the same time I value my time and I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste yours. So, but Five Tribes is as one of the games that I've seen that I think everyone's enjoyed the game. Like, no one hates Five Tribes yet.
No comment.
Oh, okay. So maybe you're the one that doesn't like it. But like Thunderstone, people generally dislike. Penny Arcade, people prefer other games. Star Realms, people will block. What's the other one?
as I said, so far the verdict on the Star Realms is Roy hates that I win, which is a fair criticism because I have no chill. I just don't have I'll go easy this game. Right. And most of that developed because of the win streak I went on. I beat him a bunch of games back to back, and I was like, well, I got to keep this up now.
Well, yeah, but after a certain point, it feels like you can't win, so why try? It's like, well, we'll do something else. So I understand his perspective, and I understand your perspective.
I have the opposite thing when I'm getting beaten at something. If I can enjoy the game, because I had this with Smash Bros. Way back in middle school.
Yeah.
I was an only child, right? So I had no one to practice or play against. I just had the computer, right? So I made some friends that I hung out at their place a lot, and they were neighbors, and they all played this game, and I just got my ass handed to me so much. But I was like, no, fuck, let's go again. I want to get better. This time I'm gonna beat you. It drove me to get better at it, which is weird because I don't think I have that with board games. If I just have a miserable experience and get my ass handed to me, I'm like, fuck this.
Because I think that comes down to that comes down to strategy versus Twitch reaction. I think you feel that your strategy is more innate, based on your mindset, whereas your Twitch reaction is something that you can condition yourself to get better at.
That's probably a fair analysis, yeah.
Okay, and me, I always know that I can get better at strategizing, whereas I honestly feel like my Twitch abilities are limited, especially at my age. I think there's a cutoff eventually, and it's probably around when you're 30, where they just start dropping, even if it's only by a little bit.
So I think it's good to use them now.
Yeah, do it, enjoy it, live your life, and then we can play Blood Bowl when you're older, I guess.
All right.
No, I seriously, I want to try that out with you at some point, and we can hot seat if we're in the same place. I've got Blood Bowl 1. I don't find that it's Blood Bowl 2 looks better, but whatever. I just don't think it's worth buying the same game over. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. People who play Pokemon will disagree with you. But...
Well, I mean, I bought the Small World expansions we've been talking about. I recently bought Sky Islands and River World. Can't say that it was totally worth it, especially River World. But Sky Islands, what I want to do with that, if we get together and play sometime, I want to do 3 levels. I want to do Underground, the normal world, and then Sky Islands above that. Does that make sense?
That sounds... Yeah, no, that sounds like a hell of a time.
But we'll play a small map, so we're still crowded and shit. I don't know. Okay, we had a fun game, but I don't think we're gonna do that tonight. I think we can save that for another time if you're up for that. Blood Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about this because, and this is our climax of the show, because I think all 3 of us had a good time playing this, and it really, I went into the game. You could probably, in fact, if you would like to share what your experience was with me going into the game, that would be lovely.
I did not get the impression that anyone was excited once we started, as we were starting, and I did my best to set it up because it looks like it's a difficult game to set up, but it's really not too bad.
It's not at all.
Which I think is good. I think it's very well done, just all around. I was worried, especially after Eldritch Horror. I was worried.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're
especially on top of
because
that would be.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because that'd be 2 back-to-back weeks where I picked a game that people didn't enjoy, and we had to call it early because I didn't estimate time right. I was gonna feel real bad about that.
Oh, I don't even think that was your fault. I think that was us getting into the game enough to actually trying to figure out how it worked. We were all 3 invested in figuring out what are the mechanics, what can we do. That sounds wonderful. What do you mean I can win by losing all my troops every turn?
It's the second one person picks up on that strategy, God, my life gets harder. I always play a stat building focus. I'm all about all right, I gotta max my stats. I gotta get to Yggdrasil. I gotta take Yggdrasil. I gotta be the biggest guy on the board.
It's a terrifying position. If my goal wasn't to throw my troops at you like banana peels, I would have been intimidated. But that's the strategy I took with that. And like, this is going into this game just going, what the fuck are we? Why are there models? There's monsters. Look at this guy, tentacle porn. And like, it's just no idea what the fuck you had pulled out or why we were talking about this. Because I remember you telling me about it, and I just looked it up, and I was like, what the fuck? But it's such a good game. You're gonna get those expansions, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. It's Thursday night, so if I order them, I don't think they'll be here by Saturday. But
I mean, you'll get them when you get them, and we'll play at some point. But I think I think I mentioned, yeah, I'm out this weekend. I think I'm gonna rest my back. I just and that way I can finally be done with this injury. Because I'm gonna, as soon as we get done here, I'm gonna lay down and pass out. That's happening.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna follow suit on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Nordic dreams of blood rage. What was Kindle's strategy in that? Do you remember?
He went for Ragnarok a lot.
Once he realized you get a bunch of points for killing your troops like that, he was like, oh, that's for free. Why not?
Yeah, I think you definitely embraced the best combination of dying in battle, and getting points for Valhalla, like Loki all the way.
And the questing was a big thing.
Yeah. It says in the rule book, like, odds are very good you won't do well if you don't choose an even mix of combat, upgrades, and quests. But I always forget to do quests. I always forget that other people are doing quests. Like that one round where you got like 18 or like 20 and doubled it some points from just having a dude in one region. Like, there's a part of me that's like, how fucking stupid are you, Frank, that you didn't look at that and go, oh, that's why he's sitting there. He's gonna get a fucking quest. Like, I should have just, like, because I moved troops, like, several times, and I had leftover rage. Like, I should have just moved some asshole over there to block you.
Well, but it's counterintuitive because I'm not a threat. Like, I'm not threatening you on domination on the board. It's just like, well, fuck that guy and his little fjord. And then I scored 14 points off it.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's nuts. And one of these days, I'm gonna get to the point where I recognize that, okay, someone's going for a quest. Like, that's I think like my biggest failing in strategy is understanding quests.
And I think that
every time you go into a fight, the cards are terrifying.
But I think that's what you got to do. I think you now, knowing this is gonna fuck up our games in the future, but I think you would sit well with a berserker style of attack in that, or of strategy in that game, where it's about charging forward and winning as many combats as possible. That'll
you get the pillaging gives you stats.
Well, not pillaging, like pillage by all means pillage, but go for your Yggdrasil, pillage there, but use that as a staging point to get at other people and knock them away from their quests, while at the same time earning points for yourself through battle.
Yeah, like I think that's, which is weird because I don't necessarily always go for that style in other games, but that's just what seems most appealing and commanding to me in Blood Rage. But like I said, those fucking cards. Like, I move some units over to fight somebody. All right, I should win this fight. Flip it over. Oh, this card just wipes out all your troops except one. Fuck all your effort. Like, they're just some cards. Like, I think it's good that they exist because of, like, the turnarounds that you can do. Like, I think the game is fun because you don't just have, oh, that guy's got 7 units. He's going to win every fight this age now. Nothing we can do about it. But at the same time, every fight is terrifying. And it's actually really frustrating. I think that some of the cards go back to the loser, because some of those cards are really good when you lose. like I just got fucked out of half of my turns in the first age because I beat you in combat.
I love that card so much. I'm so sorry.
I was just like the worst. Like, it was fine like once. Like, okay, I got played on that one. But then, oh yeah, I get to keep it. Oh, okay. So if I fight you ever again. Right, or like I have to take a dive, right? Like, to hope you lose that card. but I
Well,
didn't have a strategy that could afford that.
yeah, and that's the idea that keeps you as a threat as a losing party. Like, is that like it's gonna hurt you that much? But there should be an advantage to that still. Like you're losing an extra action, but you're still gaining X amount of points.
Yeah. What I think I should have done is I shouldn't have fought you when you went to pillage, because then I was just losing points for nothing. I should have just pillaged and let you fight me and said, all right, I'm going to trade an extra rage for a stat.
Frank, I don't know if I ever pillaged. I'm being honest. I don't think I pillaged once.
I feel like you did it once to bait me, because you knew I'd have to come fight you.
Maybe that's the only reason I would have done it, like based on my strategy. But
Like, I think I had one guy there, and you knew I would have to fight you.
oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's the same thing as starting a fight with you. Yeah.
Yeah, because pillaging is the only way combat happens. It's someone says, I'm going to try and take the thing on this square, and then you fight over it.
Yeah, but like,
if you
I feel like half my points came from strategically placing boats.
You hit the fucking boats.
You were like, get this fucking boat out of here, and I'm like, thanks, 12 points.
Yeah. No, I think it's almost unintuitive how well you can play just about every kind of strategy.
And I'm willing to bet the expansions will put in one or two more. They've got to.
The Kickstarters put in like 4 more monsters that I think those are exclusive. I couldn't get them unless I went to spend like $100 on eBay.
Yeah, the Kickstarters are like that. I actually disagree with exclusivity like that, but at the same time, I understand. I want to be able to have all the
exclusivity better, or a deal, right?
Yeah.
Like I hate the idea that like I had to know beforehand that betting on this horse was worth it, just considering how shitty the Kickstarter market is for most things that aren't board games.
Yeah, and
like a lot of people just fucking walk off with your money on Kickstarter. Like I completely understand the people who are like, I'm not gonna put money down for something that isn't guaranteed.
Man, I used to have such a different opinion on crowdsourcing projects, but I lost out on a rechargeable like battery, like a juice box, and I lost out on something else big, and now I'm just like, well, fuck it. Like, why am I gonna throw a 3D printer? Like, why am I gonna throw $300 at this if not? If it's just gonna fail in a few years, even like it didn't. Like, I think the Indiegogo one's still active, but they're not doing anything. It's fucking crazy. But I'm with you there. It's like if it's exclusive that you get it first before other people have the opportunity to get it, I'm okay with that because eventually I'll get it. But if you're just like, no, this is now a fuck you club, then I have a problem with that. Because I'm missing part of the game as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, I wanted to look at the expansions real quick before we ended. Path of Exile? No, that's just kidding.
A game that is that's I've heard is better than Grim Dawn.
Oh yeah, we didn't even look at like Steam. Like, I had a whole plan for that. We're gonna have to do that next time. Because you talked about Grim Dawn. But maybe by then I'll actually have played some more video games. I'll actually have some more videos up. That'll be good. I did do my reviews up on the Tumblr. I want to mention that before we end. So yeah, Frank, if you're really curious what I thought about Snake Pass and Lost Castle, fucking shitty games. You can go over to gamingdivision528.tumblr.com, and I've got the reviews posted there on my 100 point base scale. So like, I think they pass, but barely. And like, to me, a passable game is 50%. Like, or I'm sorry, 51% or higher. It's like, it's literally like it's an acceptable game. It's not, and it's on that 50-yard line. I just don't subscribe to that. Like, a 70 is a bad game, you know?
Okay, so you're not an IGN fan.
Yeah, I don't enjoy that idea.
Yeah. Last time I saw them give a game a 7.5, I turned to one of my friends next to me and said, "Wow, that's a scathing review."
See, that shouldn't happen. That's only a 75. Like, if you scale it out, it's a 75%. I'm not saying that that's a great score, but it's not a bad score. It was a game. It was produced. It should play.
I mean, are you advocating for C average?
No, I'm just being honest. Some games are C average. I'm not advocating for it, but I'm saying that you've got to look at games realistically and go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at something on my thing. I said Gravity Cap, but no one's going to know that. Oh, God. My brain is frozen on all this shit. Nope, can't use that. Frank, name a game, damn it.
A board game or a video game?
Video game. Help me.
Assassin's Creed Origins.
Assassin's Creed Origins, probably. Oh, that's the newest one. Okay, so that's actually that would probably score a lot higher. Granted, I haven't played it, so I don't have the experience, the knowledge to actually say it. But like, if we were talking about like Assassin's Creed, like, we're probably gonna fall below that 50% and say this is a piece of shit. Like, it fails here, and here. Even though graphically it'd probably pass. But like, that's where my fail is down like 50 or below 50. Like, you still have like A-level games, B-rank games, C-rank games, and then we use D, E, and F appropriately. So you see what I'm saying? Like, in the 50s is an E, 60s would be a D, 70s would be a C.
Do you use E's?
I've never if you're gonna subscribe to a letter system, like, I just do numbers.
Okay.
But like, I also hardly ever give out like the high things. When I rate something high, like, and I do this for my movies too. Like, my movies have their own system that basically does the same thing. When like I rate a movie high, it's because I really believe in it. So, like, even if I'm just gonna say this, even though this isn't my actual opinion, even if Thor is really boring, fuck, did it look good? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
so like, it's usually a 4-pillar system. Like, so the aesthetics will rank high. So it'll help the average of things I like and don't like about it. Shit, and I promised I was gonna let you go, but just real quick, let me get your opinion on this. I mean, we could actually like pull up the Tumblr and look, but it's for games. It's like 5 things. So it's aesthetics, the control interface, environmental controls, which is basically what happens after you give commands, game mechanics, and storyline. And storyline doesn't always apply, so sometimes it's an average of 5, sometimes it's an average of 4. Do those at least sound like things that make sense to rate games on?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There's certainly movies that, I think movies and games have a lot in common in terms of what's worth considering for a rating, and there are plenty of movies that, the story was but damn, the special effects, or, the cinematography, or, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think that's the same type of thing. So, like, for movies, aesthetics is in both movies and games, but for movies, it's storyline, character development, and then compulsion, which is just how much fun did you have. Like, Clerks 2 is a really fun movie, but it's not winning fucking awards. It has a donkey show in it. you know what I'm saying? So at the same time, like, not FTL, I'm trying to pick a random game. Overgrowth. I don't know if you heard about that one or not.
I have Overgrowth. I was a big fan of the prequel.
Yeah, so Overgrowth isn't going to win any awards, but it pretty much is a good time. Like, the environmental controls are a little sticky at places, but the controls are for the most part solid. I had a couple problems, but I blame me for those. But the mechanics, the way the game's set up, and the storyline is actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think the mechanics are incredible. But I was following the development cycle of Overgrowth for a long time.
Oh, you're super biased then.
Yeah, well, oh, I should say, I was following it secondhand. A friend of mine was following it very closely. Talking about things like, at one point the developer was just like, you know what? I am so fucking sick of things clipping into walls. So he was just like, all right, fuck it. The next 2 weeks, he just went at it. And now, literally nothing in that game will ever clip through something it's not supposed to.
I think I proved him wrong, but that's okay. The development cycle's over for that.
Yeah, well, it's maybe not literally nothing, but like you just don't see this clipping happen. Like
Yeah, well,
I did not notice it when I was playing it, to the degree that like you just expect it from games.
it's not distracting if it happens. That's what the problem is when you're like, what the fuck is my character doing?
Yeah, and I get that in everything. Even some of the most polished games have that. That's the only games that probably don't are like first-person shooters when we're like just the
you can't see
concession
it
of the camera. Yeah.
Because a lot of first-person shooters actually have a model there that it will be clipping through stuff, but you just don't notice. So on the rare occasion that like you happen to get a different angle or whatever, like you can purposely notice it. Like, hey, if you do this and look here, you can lean right through the wall.
Yep.
So okay, so I guess we can go ahead and wrap up. Frank, is there anything you wanna go out on?
I mean, a date. I haven't been on one in years, but
Well,
otherwise,
there's
I got nothing
that.
else.
I mean, any big plans? Please date Frank. Like, that sounds like a show we could do right there. I'll film it. He's a good guy. Ladies, give him a shot. Or dudes, whatever he's into that day. But yeah, it's like I don't have any real game plans. I think I'm stocked up on on games for now. I'm just gonna work on like putting these. They gave me the wrong size bookshelf, but I'm gonna put them together anyways. I'm gonna work on getting them displayed properly. I might buy some of the expansions that I'm missing for some games, but I'm not really worried about buying games at this point. I'm getting enough video games in monthly that I'm not worried about it. I just want to play some video games, play some of the stuff I have, you know.
Yeah, I get my freedom back sometime after next Wednesday, so I'll be able to play more stuff.
Ooh, freedom.
Smite ranked season ends on Tuesday.
Yeah, a lot of that's actually happening. Fortnite's ending soon. Oh, that's newsworthy. Did you hear about that?
Fortnite?
Yeah. There's a meteor in the game that's gonna hit. Like it's supposed to have hit. Oh, yesterday. So the theory was that it was going to hit Tilted Towers, and that like maybe there'd be a big crater now. Like it was going to take out the most popular area of the game.
Oh, so that to switch up like how people play?
Yeah, it's actually a map update essentially.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I haven't logged in to see. I may do that. No, I won't. I don't know why I'm pretending. Like, if you and, like, Adam or somebody wants to play, like, I'm all about that. But, like, I don't know. Playing it by myself at this point isn't as fun. I don't want to try as much.
Adam fucking went hard on that game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We were supposed to play with him and his wife. What happened to that?
He just went hard. Like he got the John Wick skin that you got to like level 100 in the battle pass. He did that in a week in like 2 days.
Jesus.
He was #1 on the leaderboard too for on Monday, I think.
Well, fuck Adam.
I found out from another friend who played the game this is apparently a bug that everybody shows up at the top. But his score was ridiculously high.
Okay.
So it's kind of a downer, but like his score was nuts for his playtime. I don't know. If the anecdotes he tells are true, I don't want to play with him because I don't want to get carried that hard.
Well, I was gonna say like we're gonna be on the same team. And, like, why not? Maybe it'll actually give you an opportunity to live long enough to get better.
I mean, I had that opportunity the first time I played. I got some friends from college introduced me to it. And I won the very first game I played in squads. Like, I'd never played the game before. I didn't do anything. I just followed these 3 guys around, and they carried me.
Well, shit. It's a miracle that anyone has ever got you to play past that, because you're like, I'm already on top. Why would I ever play again?
Stopped right after that. 1 for 1. All I need. Perfect win rate.
Undefeated champion.
Yeah.
Okay, I would go ahead and wrap this up. So if there's nothing else, thanks for watching, listening, experience this however you can. I am Kamurai, and I just want to remind you to thank Frank.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you can say something pithy or something right there. Okay. But until you see us next time, that's game over. You want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations, and they'll take you to other channels. Thanks for watching.